Are you staying a 4th grade teacher? I get asked this a lot too. Do you worry your district will react negatively to your YouTube channel? Here's another one that I get all the time. Will you and Billy ever get married? Hello again. Welcome back to my channel. So this video has been long overdue. My apologies. I had originally planned on filming this back in like, I don't know, March or something, but then I got super backed up with my training and I was just way too busy to film it. And then the end of the school year hit and y'all know how that goes. So it is summertime. I finally have time to film this question and answer for you all, which I think the last time I did a question and answer was like maybe last summer. So it has been a pretty long time and I love doing these because I love just being able to respond to your questions. And I feel like I just get to connect with you all better by doing that. Now, I'm just going to warn you, there are over 500 comments on the photo that I posted on Instagram where I asked for questions, so definitely not going to be able to answer all of them. In fact, I have about an hour and then I've got to head out of here to meet a friend, so I'm just going to answer as many as I can. Okay, first question. Do you have any tattoos? No, I don't. What is your favorite board game or just a way to spend time with Billy? So when it comes to board games, Billy and I love playing together. We have an entire cabinet downstairs in our basement dedicated to board games. So I'm just gonna list a couple. Number one, Monopoly. Our second date together, we played Monopoly. He let me win. So that's been a classic for us. We also love the game Ticket to Ride, which if you've never played that, so much fun. We love playing card games like Uno or Phase 10. We also love playing, there's a game called the Logo game, and then there's also one with like TV and movies. It's kind of like trivia questions, so we really like that. Other ways that we spend time together, we do love watching like Netflix shows together. We each have our own shows that we kind of watch on our own time, but then we always pick a show to watch together and we'll watch an episode like before we go to bed. And I know that may not be like quality time together, but we really enjoy it because it's always like dedicated time that we have set aside for each other. Oh, and DATEBOX. I love doing DATEBOX. I got it for Billy back in like February as a Valentine's Day gift. It's a subscription-based service. You get a box every month. You all probably see me post about this on Instagram, but it's so much fun. We have loved it. We've done 4 boxes together so far. If you're interested, you can get $10 off your first box with my link in the description. Do y'all have standardized tests in Maryland? Yes, we do. So I'm teaching 4th grade now. We have Park, and our students take that 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and I don't know about middle school. I'm only up to date on elementary school. And then we also have district assessments. We take 3 of them for math, 1 each quarter except for the last quarter. We have 2 science and 2 social studies district assessments. They alternate, so it goes science, social studies, science, social studies. And then there are 3 ELA district assessments as well, just like the math ones. This is funny. Would you ever consider bullet journaling? I think you'd be great. Yes, very recently I started to look into it and I really think that I'm going to like it. In my last mail haul, I talked about my Clever Fox planner, which I am loving. There's a section for bullet journaling. I probably won't share anything until I feel like I've actually gotten decent at it. But if any of you have any resources that you'd like to share with me about bullet journaling, whether it's a video or inspiration on Pinterest, leave it in the comments because I'd love to be able to see it. This is a good one. I'm curious how you handled leaving your first job. I'm so nervous to tell my principal I won't be returning next year. I'm anticipating it being very uncomfortable and tense. So in my case, I knew ahead of time that Billy and I were going to be moving. It was something we had talked about for a while. So my first principal, who I had for the first 2 years at my previous school, I had actually told him at the start of my 2nd year, like, hey, I'm probably going to be leaving not this year, but the year after. So then when the new principal came in, I actually told her right away and I was like, hey, this is going to be my last year here. I'm going to be leaving. And she completely understood. That's different than I think most people. I think most people probably decide that they're going to leave like sometime in the spring. So I can totally understand being nervous to tell them. I would just say give them as much notice as possible because they will respect you a lot more for that rather than waiting until the last minute. And I know that you could leave schools for many different reasons. Maybe you're moving, and if that's the case, just be honest and say, hey, I'm moving. If you're leaving because you're not happy at the school, I totally understand that that could be very uncomfortable. If you want to, you can be honest with your principal and tell them exactly why you're leaving. Or if you don't feel like doing that, because I'm totally not a confrontational person, so I feel you on that, you could just say you're leaving for personal reasons and you don't have to say a whole lot more than that, and it's really not their business. If you're not happy there, please leave and go somewhere else, because I recently came to a new school and I'm just so much happier there because I feel like it just fits so much better with me and my personality as a teacher, and I don't think that there's any shame in that. Now, I would recommend having a conversation with your principal ahead of time and then submit a formal letter to them telling them that you're resigning, and then you probably have to submit something to HR as well. Do you have your degree in EC, which is early childhood through 6th only, or 4 to 8 with specific subject as well? So your certification really depends on your state. Within Maryland, there is early childhood certification, and then there's 1 through 6 when it comes to elementary. So I'm actually certified 1st through 6th grade. I did not do the early childhood route in college because personally, I like the older kids. So I am certified 1st through 6th grade for all subjects. And then I do have a math minor. So I'm certified to teach math through, I think it's 8th grade. Why did you choose to start teaching? So I think I've answered this before. I was always drawn to teaching, and I think I decided when I was in like 2nd grade that that's what I wanted to do. Never really changed my mind. For me, it was just something that I always felt drawn towards. So it wasn't even really a doubt in my mind that I was ever going to do anything besides teaching. I did have an amazing 2nd grade teacher. I know I've talked about him in one of my previous videos. He was just super engaging, and he had these hats and these puppets, and he played guitar, and he was just exactly what I wanted to emulate as a teacher. So he really inspired me, and I've just always loved working with kids. So for me, it was a no-brainer. This is a good one too. Do you like having a set curriculum, or would you prefer to plan everything on your own? Other than the fact that I have to teach the Common Core standards, I get total freedom. Sometimes I wish I had a curriculum though. I've kind of been in both spots. So at my old school, my first 2 years though, we didn't really have a curriculum. We had a reading curriculum, but it was horrible and none of us used it. So we really were given a lot of freedom to plan things on our own. And I will say that that's awesome. You do get to do a lot more like fun and engaging things with your students as a result. But now I actually have a set curriculum from my county. I get asked a lot of questions about like, well, what curriculum do you use for math? What curriculum do you use for reading? It's a curriculum literally designed for my county. So I can't like share it with any of you. It's not like a national curriculum. And now that I have a set curriculum, it is very different. And in a way, it's kind of restricting where it's like, hey, I have to teach this. But I will say my administration is wonderful, and like we're allowed to take those lessons and kind of spin them in our own style. So I do still have a little bit of freedom. I do think overall I like having a curriculum. I like having something at least to go off of. And you know what? If I read the lesson, I'm like, wow, that's a great lesson, I can teach it exactly as is. Or if I read the lesson, I'm like, that kind of stinks. Like, I don't want to do it that way. I don't think that's going to work well for my students. I can kind of spin it and use the little pieces that I like, but make it into a completely different lesson just based on my own ideas. So I do prefer having a set curriculum. You know, sometimes there's days where you don't have the energy to plan this extravagant lesson. So it's really good to just have the bare bones of the curriculum there for you. I get asked this a lot too. Do you worry your district will react negatively to your YouTube channel? So absolutely, that's always a fear in the back of my mind, because I am very honest and open on my channel. You all know, like, if I'm feeling a certain way, I'm gonna talk about it. And that's just kind of how I think it should be for teachers. I don't feel like we should be censored and not allowed to talk about our feelings or experiences. Like, I just think that it should be more open and honest about how we're feeling. That being said, my administration does know about my YouTube channel. When I went in for my interview, the interview actually ended with them telling me that they had already Googled me and already knew that I did all of this stuff. So I really had no choice but to be open and honest about it. But I feel like that's the best route to go regardless. If you have a YouTube channel or you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel, run it by your administration first. That's just the smart thing to do. But I will say my administration is so amazingly supportive, and that's how I know I'm in the right school. You know, they see all the positive aspects of a YouTube channel. They see the fact that I'm able to share my ideas with other teachers, that I'm able to collaborate with them, and it's a resource above anything else. It's content, and they see it for that, which I love. I can see where some schools would see it negatively in terms of so many things. You know, there's so many things that you could see it as a negative, and I don't even really want to go into that. So yes, I do fear that, you know, someday a parent will see it as a negative, or someone from the district will see it as a negative. But considering I've had news crew in my classroom with people from the district there, they know what I do and they're supportive of it, and I love that. And actually, because I get asked a lot about parents, my parents have been nothing but supportive, and I've actually just gotten so much positive feedback from them because their kids watch my YouTube channel at home, which is not what I originally started this channel for, but I've come to find out that that's actually an amazing thing. I love that my students get to see this side of me, and they get to see all of the love and the passion and the heart that I have for teaching and for them and for helping them grow. And I just think that that's a beautiful thing. Any advice to people who want to be teachers? Get in the classroom, volunteer in a classroom, see if you can just sit in and kind of observe, because you don't know what it's actually like until you're within it. So if you're thinking of becoming a teacher, find a way to get into a classroom. If there's a certain grade that you're thinking you want to teach, get into that classroom, observe multiple times, maybe see if you can volunteer and actually work with the kids, because that's going to give you the best sense of if this is the right career for you. Why doesn't your cat have a tail? So my cat Luna is a Manx cat, and they have varying levels of tails. Some of them have full tails, some of them have nubs. Luna has no tail. She was just born that way. It has to do with her breed. But funny story, when I first got her, she has like a little tuft of fur kind of back by where her tail should be. And I remember my mom actually making the comment of, maybe she'll grow a tail. And I'm like, Mom, I don't think it works like that. Like, you either have a tail or you don't have a tail. and she doesn't have Dale. Where do you go to graduate school and what are you mastering in? So I have started my master's, but I'll be honest, I've only taken one class and I've kind of put it off lately because I've been so busy with YouTube and TPT and changing schools and all this other stuff. So I honestly do need to get back into it. Currently I'm enrolled through Wilmington University, which is located in Delaware, but I do it all online and my master's is in applied technology in education. That being said, I may be switching schools and programs. I will keep you all updated. I can't really talk about it yet because I'm not sure and I'm still kind of looking at my options, but there will be info coming on that. And as I start more classes, I'm definitely going to be like vlogging it and kind of sharing my experiences with you all. What is your morning and or night routine? I've gotten asked a lot about this too because I feel like it's a big trend right now, like morning routine videos and night routine videos. If you want me to film something on it, let me know down in the description. I mean, I don't do a whole lot, so it probably wouldn't be like the most entertaining video, but if you're interested, let me know and I can do that for you. What marathons have you run and what was your favorite? So I have run the Baltimore Marathon, the Philadelphia Marathon, the New Jersey Marathon, Baltimore Marathon again, and then the Boston Marathon as my fifth. I would say that my favorite, okay, nothing obviously amounts to Boston. Like Boston is the marathon of all marathons. So I would obviously have to put that at number one, even though the weather was not very good this year. It was horrible, in fact. Besides that one, I would probably say the Philly Marathon. I really liked the Philly Marathon. I loved the layout of the course. The people were awesome. It was a much bigger marathon than New Jersey or Baltimore, and I really liked having those big crowds. When did you start teaching? So I graduated from college in 2014. I started teaching in the fall of 2014, and I just finished up my fourth year. Okay, I like this one too because I think this is something a lot of people can relate to, including myself. I seem to have a serious problem with procrastination. Any tips to battle this? By the way, I love you. I love you too. So for me, I hate to admit it, but I do procrastinate at times on certain things. It's weird. In school, I never procrastinated. I was always the person like weeks ahead of my assignments. I took a class in high school, it was like a business management class, and literally within the first 2 weeks, I finished the homework assignments for the entire year. It was a crazy thing, but regardless. However, as I've gotten older, I've started to procrastinate a little bit more with just like those things that I don't want to do. You know, I will say something that really helps me, something I've been doing this summer, is I'm setting certain days to work on certain things. So Mondays have been my content creation days. So that's when I sit down, I film YouTube videos, I take pictures for Instagram, I get stuff ready to be able to post to give to you all. Then on Tuesdays, I dedicate Tuesdays to TPT products. So working on TPT products, getting stuff ready for that. Wednesdays is dedicated to editing. So I'll go to a Starbucks and I'll sit there and I'll edit videos all day long. Thursday is TPT again. And then on Friday, I'm actually working on stuff for my classroom. So little projects that I wanted to get done over the summer to help my actual classroom. And then Saturday and Sunday is when I do fun stuff. I play games, I go out, I hang out with friends. I'm working on like hand lettering and trying to teach myself how to do that. So I think one of the biggest things is to make sure that you actually section off time for yourself. So for me, what I'm doing this summer is by about 7, 8 o'clock, I cut myself off from work. So I stop editing, I stop filming, whatever it is that I'm doing, and I allow myself to watch TV or I allow myself to hang out with Billy and do those fun things. That way I'm not so burnt out. Also, I think it helps like the night before to write up a to-do list on your phone. There's an app that I love, it's called Wonderlist, and you're able to create lists. So I'll just show you an example. I have what's called a power list. So my power list is like my top 3 things that I want to get done every single day. And I love this app because you can just type in here, I'm just typing random things, hit next, it will make a little like to-do thing, and then you can check it off when you've done it. So I love like the night before, I'll sit in bed before I go to bed and I will make a list of all of the things that I want to get done the next day. And I feel like my day just runs so much more smoothly when I know exactly what I need to get done next, rather than just sitting there trying to think like, oh yeah, what did I want to get done today? And when I have that list, I just feel like I'm a lot less likely to procrastinate because I don't really allow that for myself because I'm continuously working on the next thing. This is a good one too. I'm in university right now for elementary education, and it is really hard to stay motivated because being a teacher and having my own classroom feels so far away. What did you do in university to stay motivated and do well in your courses? I will say that I've always been very motivated motivated when it comes to school. I've always really enjoyed excelling in school and just doing well. That's been a part of like my personality. So I never really had to motivate myself to do well in my courses because that was not an option for me. Like I was an A student, had to get A's. It's just part of like me being the control freak that I am. But I will say I joined my university's education club at the end of my first year there. And that really helped because I was able to be involved and we did activities for kids. Like we held Easter egg hunts and we had these like little crafts and activities that we would do with students. So it made it feel like I was already getting involved within education before even graduating. Also, I will say my university did an amazing job of getting us in the classroom early. So as soon as I started taking education classes, which was my first year, I was in the classroom. And I think the first time it was like for 20 hours and then it was like every other day, and then it was like 4 days a week, and then it was every single day for my internship. So they really got you in there and got you involved with teaching early on, so it didn't feel so far away. What is your biggest pet peeve in the classroom? So one of the things that I tell my students early on, like do not do this because it bothers me, is when a student like raises their hand and either makes a comment or asks a question, and maybe the other kids don't really understand like what they were trying to say or what they were trying to ask, and the other kids all start going, what? It drives me insane. I just think that it's so rude, it's so disrespectful, and like I don't want that in my classroom. I don't want that climate in my classroom. I want us supportive of each other. So I tell my students early on, like do not do that. And they do it a lot more in the upper grades. Like they didn't do it as much in second grade, but like my fourth graders, I would still catch them doing it and I would just give them that look and they'd like remember and they're like, oh, sorry. But that is one of the things that just drives me crazy. Here's another one that I get all the time. Will you and Billy ever get married? So ironically, I think the last time I filmed a Q&A, I had said that Billy and I were planning on getting engaged that fall, which was last year, and that was our plan. However, when we moved, Billy was having some trouble getting a job, and so that just kind of changed our plans, and that's life, and that's what happens. So Billy's job situation has kind of been up and down over the past year since we've been here. He actually starts a new job on July 9th when I am flying to Nashville for the TPT conference. So the plan as of right now is for us to be engaged by the end of the year. And I know some people may think it's weird that I know that, but Billy and I are very open and we talk to each other and like we literally kind of plan it together. It will still be a surprise when it actually happens and how, but yes, we have talked about it. It is coming soon, I promise. What is the best thing about teaching fourth grade? For me, I think it's the fact that students understand sarcasm, and that was definitely lacking when I taught second grade, and I do tend to be very sarcastic as a teacher. So I love my fourth graders because they're just more mature and more developed within their personalities, and as a result I feel like I can really connect with them and form a relationship with them better, and them understanding sarcasm is just icing on the cake. What do you do to get out of a teaching rut? You know, when the kids are burnt out of every day humdrum school and another break seems so far off. That is a good question because I think that as teachers we all go through that. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm bored, and I know my kids are bored, if it's just within a lesson, like I break out an accent. That's one of the easiest things for me to do. Start talking with a British accent or an Australian accent or a Russian accent, and my kids are instantly engaged. But if I know that like the lessons lately have been very boring and the kids are getting burnt out, I love to just change it up and do something completely different. Whether that could be like an escape room for the classroom or some kind of like really hands-on activity or like a classroom transformation. One of the things I did this past year was my math bakery. I will link that video in the description box for you all because the students are not expecting it and all of a sudden they walk in and the classroom is completely different. And I think kids need that every once in a while, and I need that. Because I've always said, if I'm not excited to teach the lesson, I can't expect my students to be excited to learn it. And no, you can't do those things every single day because you wouldn't have a life. However, they are good every once in a while just to keep things fresh and interesting. How do you personally maintain positivity under stress? So let's just be open out. So let's just be open and honest here. No, I'm not 100% positive all the time because that would just be insane. Yes, I get stressed and there's times when I cry or I'm yelling and I'm frustrated, and I'm a human. I have these emotions. That's never going to change. But I will say I've gotten a lot better at like managing my stress and managing my frustrations and just becoming more of a positive person. And I really think that positive thinking is something that you have to train yourself to do. Once you train yourself to do it, it does kind of become second nature, but when you're in the process of doing that, you literally have to think about it, which is weird, but it's something that you have to build up over time. So I was not a positive person, especially back in like high school. I went through a phase where I was pretty much the most negative person you ever could have met, which I know is really surprising. And all of a sudden one day I was just like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't want to be this person. And I just actively had to start focusing on the bright side. And one of the easiest ways for me to do that personally is if I am stressed or I'm anxious about something, is I always remind myself it will be okay. And you all hear me say that in my videos all the time, and people always kind of laugh like, oh, she always says that. Yes, I literally will say that out loud to help myself feel better. It will all be okay. And for some reason, saying that and hearing myself say that helps it to sink in, and I do feel a lot better. Because I think a lot of times things that we're anxious about or we're stressed about are temporary, and especially things that we're anxious about, they don't end up being as bad as we thought that they would be, and we just spent all this time worrying about it. And I always just remind myself, like, it will be okay, it will work out, it's fine. And just hearing that really, really helps me. Also, if I do get really stressed out, I love to just stop what I'm doing and go for a walk. And that really just helps me kind of clear my headspace. I know some people use like meditation or mindfulness, and that's great. I've tried it. It just doesn't quite work for me, but I do love to just go out and go for a walk or go for a jog or go to the gym and lift weights. That really helps me as well. So have something that you can channel your energy into when those moments occur, so that you can kind of get out of that headspace. And then later when you come back to it, you have just so much of a fresher mindset than you did before. Probably the #1 request I've gotten lately: when will you be filming a townhouse tour? So last year when Billy and I moved into this townhouse, I was like, oh, I'm gonna film a townhouse tour, and that did not happen. And we've now been here almost a year and I still have not filmed it. So if you're willing to come clean my townhouse for me, I will gladly film it. But right now, just trying to think about like cleaning the whole townhouse, I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I have not filmed a townhouse tour. I definitely want to get it done this summer as like maybe like a 1-year anniversary of moving in. Here is our townhouse tour. But yeah, seriously, if you're willing to come clean my townhouse, let me know. I think this is one that a lot of people have experienced as well. How do you deal with teacher politics / teacher cliques? So I have never been like a drama kind of person. I was never involved in any of that in high school or college. Like if someone's like a ton of drama, I don't even want to be friends with them. Like it stresses me out and I don't find it fun and I don't want to be involved in that. So I've always been a very easygoing person. So it's been easy for me not to get involved in that. And honestly, like I just remove myself from it. And it helps that I am very like self-sufficient, and I do tend to keep to myself a lot. Like when I'm at school, a lot of times I just close my door so I can get my own planning done or whatever, because for me, I just feel more productive that way. And I do enjoy having time to myself. I mean, even like with Billy at home, I love him to death. However, there are times where like I need to go to Starbucks to have time to myself, because I do really, really value that time, because I am an introvert at heart. So I honestly don't get involved in a lot of it. So in terms of like advice, I would just say, you know, if you're in a atmosphere where there is a lot of like clickiness or drama or whatever, it's okay to kind of stick on your own or just kind of avoid those people that are causing that. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. You know, I personally eat my lunch in my room every day. Actually, my whole team eats lunch in their room. So it's not like I'm avoiding the rest of my team. They all eat in their rooms. But I know some people say to avoid the teacher lounge because there can be a lot of like negative talk and things in there. But even within like, okay, social media, there's a ton of clickiness and drama within the social media teacher world, which I guess isn't surprising because it's everywhere. But again, like I just avoid it. I do my own thing. I make sure that at the end of the day, when I go to sleep, I'm happy with who I am, and the rest of it, I really don't care about. Okay, I've seen this question a lot, and I guess I kind of already answered it, but how do you deal with stress and what do you do for fun to just let go of everything? So again, I go for walks. I love lifting weights at the gym. For me, that's a huge stress reliever. Like I can be in the worst mood going into the gym and I'm gonna come out happy, because for me, I just feel so empowered when I'm lifting weights. So if you've never tried lifting weights, like go to the gym and lift some weights. Just pick up heavy things and put them down. Actually, no, don't do that because you could get seriously hurt. But if you don't know where to start, see if you can get like a personal trainer. A lot of gyms offer like one personal training session for free. You also can look up tons of YouTube videos and things just to kind of teach you, but I truly think that everyone should at least try lifting weights, but that's just my personal opinion. Other than that, I do love watching me some Netflix, and I have Netflix or YouTube videos on all the time in my house. It's just part of who I am and I love it. I also am really loving hand lettering. So I recently invested in an iPad for myself, and an Apple Pencil, and I've done like a little bit of hand lettering in the past. Like, I don't know, I've just kind of taught myself, I guess. I'm not a professional by any means. I just kind of enjoy doing it. It's very relaxing for me. So I'm starting to do that more on the iPad, which is fun. I know some people really enjoy like planners and planning and stickers and all that, and I've kind of tried it, but I don't think it's quite my thing. So Netflix, walks, lifting weights, iPad lettering, snuggling with my cats. Okay, I get this question a lot too, and I guess I should go ahead and answer it. How do you create things for TPT? What programs do you use? Okay, y'all. So I get asked all the time, how do you make your worksheets? How do you make this? How do you make that? Now, originally I was planning on like sharing and doing a video and like, hey, here's how I make this. Recently, I've kind of changed my mind about that. And let me explain. It's not that I don't want to teach people. I totally do, and I love being able to do that. However, especially recently, I have had a lot of issues with people directly copying my work, which frankly is just wrong. It's illegal. It's a copyright infringement, and it's super frustrating as a creator. I have spent years developing my own style of things and creating my own like brand through it, and to have someone go on and just directly copy it seriously is heartbreaking, and it makes me feel sick that I did all of that work and then someone else can just look at it and copy it, and it's very frustrating. And you know, if you're also a creator of some kind of a product, I'm sure you can understand. If you're not, it may be difficult to understand. But like my TPT products are kind of like my babies, and so I feel like someone's stealing my baby, which is an issue for me. So I kind of have mixed thoughts. Like, I still would love to develop a course that would teach you how to create these things or how to sell on TPT, but I don't think I'm going to create a video where it's like, hey, here's how I do this, because then I'm going to have even more of the copying, and that just is very frustrating. I've had to do a lot of like reporting things to TPT and even like taking legal action against people, because I guess some people don't realize it, but if you directly copy someone's work, that is copyright infringement, and that is against the law. You're not allowed to do that, but some people do it anyway, and it's frustrating. So sorry, I had to go on a little rant there, but you know, I've had someone like literally to the detail copy my portfolio template that I sell in TPT, and it looked exactly the same. They even stole my description on TPT, like word for word, and like that is just the worst feeling in the world to see that, and it's illegal. Like, that's when it comes down to it, it's illegal. So even not selling something, like even if you just create things for your own classroom, but it directly copies my style, that's not as big of a deal, but it is still an issue. And even technically, like copying someone's work like that, even if you're not selling it, that is still copyright infringement. So yeah, I'm sorry. I just had to like kind of let that off my chest, because I've been keeping it in a lot lately, and it's frustrating. So in terms of programs, I will gladly tell you what programs I make things in. For the longest time, I used PowerPoint. PowerPoint is great if you are just starting to make worksheets and things. It is so much better than Word. Don't use Word, because Word is just very difficult to maneuver things with. However, PowerPoint, it's very like seamless when you're moving things around. So if you're looking to start somewhere, start with PowerPoint, make the slide, you know, an 8.5 by 11 or an 11 by an 8.5, and just start putting stuff on there and designing. And the more time you spend with it, the easier it will get. I also lately have started using more of Adobe Illustrator and Adobe InDesign. Adobe InDesign is more like page layout, whereas Illustrator is more so used for like actually creating artwork and things, but you can use Illustrator to do like page design. So those are the programs that I use. Sorry that question took a little bit of a negative turn. I just kind of wanted to share my experience with copycats. Are you staying a 4th grade teacher? Yes. So I am staying at the same school, same grade level, same classroom, everything. Nothing is changing, at least for this year, fingers crossed. We also are staying departmentalized, so I will still be teaching math, science, and social studies. Now, that could potentially change in the future. There has been talk within my school about becoming self-contained again, where I would have one class and teach all of the subjects. I personally would way prefer to stay departmentalized. I love being departmentalized, but that could end up changing in the future. However, for the upcoming school year, everything will stay the same. Okay, this is a good one. When you started your YouTube channel, what were your main goals, and have those goals changed as your channel gains subscribers? Yeah, so when I first started my channel, I just wanted to be able to share my ideas with people. You know, I had a lot of like information in my head, and I've always kind of wanted to share things. I have made made videos in the past. I had a channel all about like fitness. It was horrible, but I tried. And I've always just loved like sharing my ideas and my thoughts with people. So I decided to make a YouTube channel dedicated to teaching and just kind of sharing my ideas and how I do things. I never intended to do vlogs. That was never my goal whatsoever. And the only reason I started vlogging is because someone like asked me to do a classroom vlog. So I said, sure. And once I started that, I actually fell in love with it because I love getting to see my weeks like after the fact and kind of just reflecting on them and getting to see how I felt and why I felt that way. And I just think it's a super powerful tool. It's almost like an online diary for me. So now you all know that I do primarily vlog videos and I love doing that. And I am so happy that that one person, whoever it was, I don't remember, I'm so happy that they recommended that to me because it completely changed my life. Now that my channel has grown, which again blows my mind because I think at the time, like I was gonna be so happy to just have 1,000 subscribers. Like I thought that that was like my max. That was as far as I was ever gonna get in the YouTube world, and never, ever, ever, ever in a million years did I think that it would grow to now like 115,000 people. It still blows my mind. It's still a little bit overwhelming to me at times, and I don't think it's fully hit me that I have that many people following me, but I am so honored to have that, and I truly think it's such a big privilege. And there's still that part of me that's like, well, why me? Why did people pick to follow me? Why do I have all of these people? And I don't know if I even know the answer to that question, but now that I have all of you, I think the biggest thing that I want to do is just to be a positive role model, whether that is a role model for veteran teachers who have maybe lost their passion for teaching, or for new teachers who are overwhelmed and stressed and they don't think that they can do it all, or for people in college who want to become teachers, or even for kids who look up to me. Like I just want to be able to be a positive light in your all's lives, and I want you to watch me and have a smile on your face, and I want you to watch me and feel inspired and feel motivated and feel passion, and that's what I want to be able to bring to people. I just want to make people feel good, and I want to be able to give back because this channel has changed my lives in so many different ways, and I want to be able to do that for other people. And now that I have this platform and I have all of these eyes on me, like I really just want to do good things in the world, in the lives of teachers, within education. And I feel like now that I have all of you on my side supporting me, like I'm the luckiest person in the world to have all of you, and I just want to be able to use that to do as much good as I can. What is one advice you could give to a new TPT seller just starting out their own business? Definitely be patient. You know, don't expect all the sales to start coming in like from the very beginning. It doesn't work like that. It takes time to build it up. Stay true to yourself and your design and your just appearance with things, because so often I see TPT sellers, you know, this kind of goes back to the conversation before, but they just imitate things that they've already seen done. And personally, I think that that's pointless. Like I don't need 10 million versions of the exact same thing. Like you have to do something different and new, and you have to find your niche. You know, for me, organization and labels, like that is my niche. And when I first started TPT, I was making like content things. The very first thing that I put out on TPT was a simple machines test for second grade. And you know, at the time, like I enjoyed making that, but then I just slowly started to realize that for me, my favorite thing to create for people is organizational tools, whether it's templates or forms or the labels, because I love to be able to see that transform other teachers' classrooms and their lives and just help them improve. So find your niche, find something that you're good at and something that you have to offer people, and do it in your own way. Don't just copy the way you see other people doing it, because they can do it and they can probably do it 10 times better than you. There's no point in copying them. Do your own thing and do it to the best of your ability, because that's what's going to attract people. When they can tell that you're passionate about the things that you're creating, and when they can tell that you are being authentically 100% your own self, they're gonna keep coming back to you, and you're gonna kind of establish yourself as a brand that people want to love and support. Okay, this is a good one to end with because I'm starting to run out of time. What is the funniest teaching moment you've had? So I talked about this recently on a podcast that I did with someone. So back in my first year of teaching, I think it was, maybe my second year, I was going to do this like debate with my students. So we had read, I don't know, it was some book, Mrs. Brown Went to Town, I think is what it was called, but basically like she leaves and the farm animals move into her house, and we were gonna have a debate of like the farm animals versus like the Brown family of whether or not the animals should live in the house. So I was trying to introduce the concept to my students, and I asked, does anyone know what a debate is? And I had a student very confidently raise his hand. And I swear he was not saying this to be funny, like it was his legitimate answer. He said, debate is what you use to catch the fish. And I have never laughed so hard in my entire life. Like it was just hilarious. Like I cannot, even to this day when I think about it, like I just laugh because it was like a classic priceless moment. One of the reasons I love kids, like little things like that. And one other quick thing, it was my last year at my old school. So it was my third year of teaching. I was using blurt beans, which you all probably remember me talking about. And there were these little beans that my students would hold in their hands. And if they called out, they had to give me their bean. And if they still had their bean at the end, they got to add it to a jar. And once they got up to a certain point, they would get a prize. So my students are all sitting there, you know, holding their beans, and I'm doing a lesson. And all of a sudden one of them yells out, "It's stuck, it's stuck." And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it is stuck where? Because I knew they meant the bean. They had to mean the bean. So I asked the student, I'm like, what do you mean it's stuck? Where is it stuck? So he says, it's stuck in my ear. And I'm like, why is it in your ear? Turns out he was doing some kind of magic trick. I don't even know, but the bean got stuck in his ear, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm like, okay, come here, you know, stop my lesson, come here, let me get the bean out. And I'm thinking like, oh, it'll be pretty easy to get this bean out of this kid's ear. No, I'm even trying to get it out. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this bean is literally stuck in this kid's ear. I'm gonna get the worst phone call from this parent when this kid goes home. So I sent him to the nurse, and I'm like, I don't even know what I write on this nurse slip, right? Like, kid has bean stuck in his ear, don't ask. Like, send him to the nurse. Thankfully, she was able to get it out. Hallelujah. And I ended up like emailing or calling his mom or something, like explain what happened. Thankfully, she laughed, and I'm actually good friends with her, like even to this day. So it just made for a really good story for the two of us. And then later that night, she actually sent me a link to a YouTube video called Beans in My Ears, which was just funny because I would sing that to him for like the rest of the school year. So there are tons more questions. And again, I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them, but I tried to answer the questions that I thought would most benefit you all to hear the answers and the questions that I got asked most often. So I will probably do another one of these, you know, later on, maybe in the winter time or something, because I do like getting to sit down and kind of answer your all's questions. But if you enjoyed this video, please, please, please give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any future videos. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I love you all so, so much. Don't forget to think positive, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video and for supporting my YouTube channel. If you want to check out any of my older videos, you can use the 2 links right down here. If you want to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos, you can use the link right up here. The links to all of my social media sites, my Teachers Pay Teacher store, my merchandise store, and my Amazon store are in the description box, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.